Honda CRF300 is supposed to have had quite a revamp for 2025, but it's supposed to have changed a lot, so I wanted to compare it to my previous experience of the 300 when I had a 300 Rally.
Right, I'm with Exeter Rider. Let's see what happens.
I'll give you a hand getting on, just in case.
Okay, there we go. Mind yourself.
Yeah, I got you, don't worry.
Here we go. Well, hey. There we go. I'm up.
Yeah. I'll let you get out of the way first.
Okay.
So the first impression was it's the same height as it always has been. That's 880mm. Now, for me, the big problem I had with the one that I used to ride was that, yes, it's quite tall to get on, but then it would shrink right down low, which wasn't so much of a problem because then you could easily touch the floor, etc. But then when it comes to getting off, as you try and get off, the suspension was so soft, it would then rise higher than you expect. Even more, if you leant it over, it would lift up even more. So yeah, although it was still high, a positive mark, it didn't have that silly sagginess. So I was looking forward to this ride out. But first we do the Mickey Mouse bit around the trees just to make sure we can get acclimatised to the bike before meeting our public. Now this test ride took place on the Sunday morning. Don't ask me what the exact time was, say 11 o'clock, something like that. So people were already beginning to go home. In fact, quite a few had, but you'll notice as we ride through, actually quite a few people are still knocking around, and it was all the better for it. As you can see, there's a group of people there going out, but a lot of the companies had stopped the test rides. Right, so let's go and take it to the trail. The way Honda were running this was a quick trip through the beginner's loop of the Bridgestone Trail, then a part of the starting part of the Bridgestone Trail, and then going on to the general manufacturer's trail. So there's a combination of 3 different bits. Now what happened to me was my camera got tilted, so I'm not going to have too much footage with the camera tilted because it'll make you start feeling ill. However, a couple of points of note. You'll notice that it is, even on this beginner's trail, it's quite sandy. It got a lot sandier later on. The ride for is about half an hour or so, and as you can see, it's not that crowded. So first impressions, already I was sitting there going, this bike's so much better supported. I don't feel like I'm about to be playing Zebedee and buoying off into the distance. It felt like it knew where it wanted to go. It was more raw compared to the Rally. The engine felt also as if it had been completely remapped, which I'm guessing it has done. Now no one's going to pretend it's an enduro weapon or anything like that, but it did pull heartily all the way through the rev range. I did play a lot while I was out and about, potter at low gear and then just try and pull it right the way through the revs, and you have to say I was really impressed, surprised. It felt as if it had more power than my old Rally did. The suspension felt so much more like you were connected to what the bike was doing. Now the big question is, did that then mean it was uncomfortable? Because one of the things with the old CRF was it was very soft suspension, so although it lacked precision, if you were pottering along, it was like riding on air almost. At this point, it's worth mentioning I didn't have any problems with the controls on the bike. The gearbox was really nice, unlike some people that we might not want to mention, Steve.
Oh, that was close.
Oh, it's a nitro, but it's not.
Those of you that aren't used to the ABR and these manufacturer test rides, every so often they'll stop and regroup to make sure everyone's together and everyone's happy and comfortable, which is a really good thing, unless you're held up by a really slow rider. That's me, I'm afraid, so sorry for anyone I did hold up, because it's not riding fast. Yeah, so where was I? That's suspension. Now this stretch I'm coming up to is an absolutely excellent feeling section, I believe, for assessing whether the suspension had been improved. Now halfway along here, you're doing about 35-40 mile an hour, something like that, and then there's that dip. Now the interesting thing is, how does the bike react? Now I've been out on that on a variety of bikes through exactly that same dip over a few years now, and this one ranks up there with the best. Now what I mean by the best is not that you don't feel it, because you do, but it just didn't disturb the bike, it just went straight through. So top marks. I'm beginning to think they've really done something strange to this machine. Cool, I'm really sorry about this camera angle, it's getting annoying, isn't it? In a minute we'll cut the higher bits, however sadly the footage you may not like so much, but hang on, we'll carry on, see how we get on. So now it's a bit bumpier as well, so I'm at this point when I was riding I was getting confused. So what I mean by that is, it's the same bike, it's got the same basic engine, the dash feels the same, it's very familiar to me, there's very little in the way of revolution with the bike. However, something fundamental seems to have changed in the approach. Instead of that soft, wallowy, and I'm going to say slightly insipid feeling, this suddenly all of a set of modifications have come together and turned this bike into a much more taut, focused machine. And when I say focus, I don't mean focus on being like some, you know, out and out enduro weapon, just focus on a tool that will do the job as well as it possibly can without it being a compromise too far towards any particular direction. Now obviously we're coming up a bit of a slope here and it's doing it without any real issues. Okay, so the Triumph Enduro, and if you look at my video up in the corner, you'll see a reference to it. That just dug in and flew because it got traction control, but it costs about £10,000. This thing starts with a 5, the other one starts with a 10. Hey ho, what do you think? You're going to be paying an awful lot more for that Triumph. It does an awful lot more, yes, but it's a weapon. It's designed as an out and out competition machine. This is a little bit more civilized. They've taken the rough edge off it, but it still gets on with the job. And I say, personally, I was shocked at the difference. It's so much better compared to that Triumph, and it has any right to be at that price. At this point, a big shout out to Steve, Exeter rider, for all his help during the test rides. Thanks, Steve.
Hello. Your camera's facing down, you see it.
He's a good lad, is Steve, always looking after me and helping me there with the filming, and he also helped me at the end. So top mark, Steve. I think he's going to have a great, excellent review on the bike. So hop over to his channel and you'll learn probably a lot more than you'll get from me, to be fair. But at least we can now see where we're going much better. Now at this point we're going downhill. Notice how others using the brakes. I deliberately avoided the brakes on this. I wanted to see what it was like. Did it feel under control with no brakes? And yes, I'm doing a lot of things wrong stylistically that you shouldn't be doing, freely admit it, but yeah, that's just me playing with it, seeing how it feels, seeing what I think of it, and it didn't disappoint in any way, shape or form. Now I have to say that by today this was really sandy, this course, and everything was covered in dust. It wasn't exactly what you'd call typical British. It felt more like we were in the Saharas, you know, or somewhere in exotic Africa. But I was disappointed not to see wildebeest crossing the Serengeti. But there you go. One thing for the organisers next year, maybe a bit of big game wildlife to make it feel even more authentic. That would be good. Right, back to the bike. I don't know really what else I can add to it. It's riding well. It's got torque where you need it. The engine pulls right the way through the rev range. It even sounds all right, like I was saying earlier, where it could have been insipid, it isn't. Where it could have been unrefined, it felt refined enough to what it needs to be. Hats off to Honda. They haven't even bothered fitting bark busters. Okay, they've taken the mirrors off and just put little caps in, but they're confident enough in the product just to not worry. So they seem to think it's all right. One of the bikes decided to take a rest while it was out and have a lay down for a couple of seconds. No damage whatsoever. Top marks, Honda. And as you can see here, it is getting bumpy. This is why I wanted to really cut this bit. And again, I'm just shocked, I have to say this, how much the bike was just absorbing it, but working well. Now up here we're going to have a bit of a test. It's quite a lot of dust and sand, so the bike's going to lose a bit of traction coming up there. Problem? No, I was in the wrong gear, it didn't matter. It just got on and did it. And then coming up and down these bumpy bits, this is where I felt I was really trying to see what the suspension was like, and I was being ham-fisted. Something wasn't deliberate, obviously, but I wasn't worried about that. And the bike wasn't well, best we don't mention that, eh? Yep. Again, I'm playing with the engine braking, etc. It didn't need any more engine braking than it's got. I just needed to use the brakes and concentrate and not leave it in the wrong gear. The bike just took it all in its stride. So ham-fisted rider 0, CRF1. This bike is beginning to really surprise me.
How you getting on?
Yeah, you just missed me doing a great sitting thing.
Have you got on camera?
Yeah.
See what I mean? The engine even sounds like it's got a bit more sense of urgency and a bit more sense of purpose about it. It could be me just imagining it, of course. I'm not immune to having these kind of foibles, but to me it felt, it's just got that little bit extra pep and intent to it. Again, obviously it's not a weapon, but it's got enough power. Oh, here we go, wrong gear, upper slope, and let's see what happens. Every right for it to go horribly wrong, and you can see it's quite dusty there. I mean, these conditions aren't exactly ideal for a bike being ridden badly, and just got on with it. Honestly, I can't say anything other than I'm shocked, really. Yeah, shocked at just how good they've managed to make this bike, and how much more reassuring it is. I'm just pottering along here, but there you go. So I think I've rattled on long enough, really. Let's come to some sort of conclusion about the bike and decide what we think. Right, first of all, suspension. We were worried about that. It's been transformed. You haven't got that massive sag, we've established that, but does it make it horrible? No, it doesn't. It has a sense of purpose, it feels good. The engine is only a 300. Is that too small? Bearing in mind we've got Suzuki coming out with the DR4Z soon. Well, in my mind, this bike and this engine go well together. Yes, it could be more hardcore, but it also could have been far more insipid. This has got to get up and go all the way through the rev range. When I had it in the wrong gear, pulling it up some dodgy positions, was it a problem? Nope, absolutely not. Superb. Comfort? Yes, it was comfortable. No issues on the ergonomics whatsoever. The dash, tried and tested. No, it's not some glitzy, glamorous LCD television screen that you can watch EastEnders on, should you so wish, while you're riding along. It hasn't got city functions, it's just a basic piece of kit. And that's the bike. It just gets on and does what it should do. And for that, I think it's absolutely excellent.
Yeah, it's me holding everybody up, I think.
Don't worry about it.
I'm not.
Could you get a cheaper bike from other manufacturers? Well, let's face it, it's about the same price as a Himalayan, which has got a little bit more power, but it's also got an extra 50-60 kilos. Has it got the price point of some of the Chinese competition? No, it hasn't. Some of those can be slightly cheaper, but I'm going to say this: it's got decent service intervals. It's from a manufacturer that some people would say is possibly the best of any of the Japanese in terms of quality. I know it's probably not built in Japan, but the standards that Honda will require, it'll be good enough. And that's an important thing. Before I say any more, here is a staple of every ABR visit and every test ride. Mamadou is a legend. I do hope I've got your pronunciation of your name right. Apologies if not. Absolute legend of the show. Comes there every year. Is always there. Masses of enthusiasm. Great bloke. Puts so much effort in. And so, on behalf of all of us here, big thanks to him and all the other people marshalling to make the event good. Now back to the bike. So let's just think of this. You know, some of these Chinese manufacturers don't necessarily seem to have the massive backup of other manufacturers. The phrase that I kept on hearing at the show, now you can't get one of these at the moment, they're in a container sailing over. We're due July, maybe August. If not, we should get it by September. Yeah, not December, September. That was stand after stand after stand of all the smaller manufacturers. And then you could say, well, what about parts? Well, we've got all the service items. So that was almost like a scripted thing. So to summarise, would I have one? Yes. Would I recommend it to anyone? Yes. It's got rid of all the bad points, built on the good points, and you can't beat that reassurance of knowing you're dealing with a manufacturer that's not here today, gone tomorrow. Good work, Honda. If I had the money, would I buy it myself? Definitely. I would need to put a lowering link on it, but that would go with a lot of bikes, to be fair. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was an absolutely superb bike. Brilliant work, Honda. Well done. So all that remains is for me to say thanks very much for watching. Hope you found it interesting, and don't forget to like, subscribe and all that malarkey. Thanks very much. Now I wonder if that tragic old sod can get off that bike without falling over or generally causing chaos. You can imagine a line of dominoes all going plop 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 plop, can't you? Well, let's go and have a watch. And just like that, I managed to just get off the bike on the wrong side, no issues. Top marks, and thanks to Steve for coming along and being excellent company on this test drive. Don't forget, subscribe to Extra Rider as well. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.